Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems. Hey, I'm Tom Gozzi. This week at Hot and Cold, we're up in a little bedroom upstairs in our project house. We got flooring. We're going to stick it down. It's going to look nice. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So what we have is we're upstairs in the bedroom, one of the bedrooms. We have two bedrooms, this being the bigger and this not being that big. And we have on the bedroom floor this old painted wide pine. I believe at one time this was an attic, not really an official bedroom. And it's kind of okay, but it's got the big cracks, and that's always a pain to deal with. And it just seems to me to make sense to look at doing a wood floor. There was actually carpeting in here. And I didn't like the way I hate carpeting. You knew that. Carpeting gives off fumes from the synthetic materials that it's made from. It holds dust. It holds dust mites. It's a disgusting microenvironment you don't want in your house if you have the option. If you want to use a rug, you always want to have a rug you can roll up and take out to get cleaned. And I've just preempted any opportunity of ever having a carpeting company sponsor the show. But truth is, there are issues with carpeting. Unless you maintain it and clean it regularly, I don't like to use it. So we're not. We took it out, what was here, and we're putting down this floor. This is a glue-down floor. This is made by Traffic Master. We got it at Home Depot. It is regularly $1.99. It was on sale for $1.68. It's not a real heavy-duty floor. It is a tongue and groove engineered wood floor. It's like a piece of plywood, basically, and it's pre-finished. And this is a glue-down floor. I think you can staple it down too, but I'm gluing it down because gluing is quite simple. And we're using a water-based urethane adhesive. If you can wash it off soon enough, it comes off with water. Once it cures, we need to use something like mineral spirits. And we just basically are putting the glue down. And the first two strips are the critical ones because those set the straightness for the project. And what I did was I actually tacked some nails in here at the edge where that'll be hidden, I think. If not, I'll take them out. But we've got it tacked in place. We don't want to glue that nail down, do we? And to help just make sure that nothing moves, because this is a very simple project. So what we're doing here is I just put down some adhesive. The room is almost exactly, I think, 12 feet wide. So these are 3 foot wide. We've been able just to do minimal cutting. So we have full pieces all the way across in one row, and then we take one, cut it in half, and we go with the rows in between. And this is tongue and groove, and we just push it together. You don't even have to tap it. It will just go right together by hand. I didn't put enough adhesive down here, so let me just, when I do a TV show, a lot of times I can't talk and chew gum at the same time, or talk and do the TV show at the same time, or something like that. So let's get a little bit of adhesive down here so we can really get rocking and rolling. Now that we're down to we got those first 2 rows, we can really put out a broad expanse of adhesive and cover some real ground. I just started this literally minutes ago before the cameraman got here, and There we go. I'm using a tooth trowel that is 3/16 of an inch, which is what they recommend. And let's see, so we're going to put one down here, and these just slide right together. You don't even have to tap them. You do want to make sure before you do it that the tongue and the groove are in good shape, that nothing's happened in terms of you're handling it in particular. And for that matter, when you're in the store and you're picking up a box, you do want to make sure that there's no, the edges of the box are okay. If you do need to tap it, you have a block of wood, you don't hit the tongue and groove directly, and just a little persuasion is all it needs to hold it together. They do recommend, especially if you think you need to have a piece of masking tape across the joints just to hold it together. And we just keep right rolling along here. And set another one right here. The most annoying part of this project is getting glue on your fingers. I actually brought rubber gloves and I left them downstairs, but that's okay. And we're making progress, and I probably even should have done some more ahead in terms of adhesive, but this is a TV show and you understand, don't you? Or you understand who's doing it at least. So I've got 3 rows going at once here. We can throw some serious adhesive down now. Now this is not a high-end floor. This is probably one of the lower-end price-wise engineered wood floors you're ever going to see for that kind of money. And it's got a decent finish. It's only a 15-year, well, I say only, it's got a 15-year warranty on it, which is pretty decent. And it's not, you know, it's not the same as a nailed-down wood floor, and but it's good for what it is, and it cleans up everything very quickly. Matter of fact, I was watching a show on cable, one of those flip your house shows, and the people there did use this exact flooring in a house they sold for $1.5 million. So, you know, it's not bad stuff. I think that's enough to get us over a ways. And we're just doing these staggered joint. Actually, I got to go a little more. Yeah, I got to go a lot more. Because we're going to be done with the whole room pretty quick here. You're not supposed to put out more adhesive than you can cover within 30 minutes, because that's been about 30 minutes and starting to get beyond the point of no return, in that it's not going to stick right. And if it doesn't stick properly, everybody's unhappy. So let's get my little block. Just give the end a little hit. And we'll give this a little hit. And we'll put another one here. And I think we got to take a break already. But you can see this goes pretty quickly. It's just a little bit of time to lay it out. It doesn't click together. It's tongue and groove, so it's a little bit different. But it goes fairly quick. It's a little messy working with adhesive, but like I say, you can wash up with water if you're quick enough. And I got a paper towel somewhere around here where it comes up onto the surface of the wood. If you get it and it squishes up through, we want to clean that up before it cures, although we can clean it after it cures. But speaking of a cure, we need to take a break right now, take care of a little bit of business. When we come back, we'll look at this. We got some other flooring projects we're working on too. We're actually almost finished, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back, and I've taken used the luxury of having a television show to actually stop what I was doing, finish up what I was doing, and stop, just so we can stop and talk about it a little bit, because there are a couple of issues we need to think about. Even though this is a glued down floor, or if it was a stapled down floor, we want to leave an expansion joint all around the perimeter of the floor, and that should be a minimum of 1/4 inch. I've left one a little bit bigger because we've got this, there's actually a baseboard here but the plaster on the wall is kind of flush with it. So we're going to go ahead and put a new baseboard right over that. We're going to leave that right in place, put a new baseboard over it, and hide the expansion joint in the process. So that'll be kind of nice, and we don't have to tear any more things apart. So what we'll do is probably put a piece of 1x6 or 1x8 there as a baseboard, put a piece of cap molding on top of it, and just put a clear finish on it. I think that'll look nice with painted walls, and you know, that'll finish up this room other than, you know, painting it, because we've got the heat in, we've got the wiring done. We have to touch up the plaster a little bit. One other thing that I'm thinking we got to do is this window, which is not very big. The cameraman loves to shine the camera out the window and have the brightness of the snow for the springtime snow here in Maine make everything bloom. But the issue we have here is that really doesn't meet code for egress. It's not quite big enough. And where this is such a small room, and it's kind of, there's a dark hallway out that way, it'd be nice to have a slightly bigger window just so we could get a little more daylight in, plus meet the egress issue. Plus the windows weren't put in very well, so there's the way they're set up in relation to the vinyl siding, water can get in behind them. So why don't we go downstairs, maybe take a look at that from the outside. I'll show you one because it's kind of interesting. It's something we don't want to do when we're redoing an old house. And then we'll also want to look at some floors downstairs. So let's just sneak down there, right? We'll go right now. So now we're outside, and this is what I wanted to show you. This is somebody's idea of a proper trim detail at the bottom of a window. We always want to shed water. And we've got this J channel here, and we've got a windowsill here. The windowsill at one time was caulked up against the house. See that? There's a big hole there now, so water's getting in behind there. Water's getting in between here. This was caulked. All this failed because it just won't stand up. You've got dissimilar materials for one thing. This vinyl is not a rigid material, so we're going to have to redo these windows completely. At very least, take them out and reset them out where they should be, which is out here about almost 2 inches. So we're going to have to do that up there, and in the process we might as well go for a little bit bigger window, and it's a fairly easy process over there. This one will be a little hairier because this is a bearing wall, but we'll figure it out, and we'll do that when it's warm out. It's cold out here today, so we're not going to do that today. But one other thing I wanted to show you while we're out here, because I hear the clothes dryer running, and that is the vent here for the clothes dryer. This is the kind of vent, we've looked at these before. I just want to show it to you again. This is the kind of vent, I don't know if I can open that while it's running, or I'm going to break it. There's a little stop there, and it's not going to let me open it. Okay. But this is the normal kind of dryer vent we have is a flapper kind of vent, and they open and close, and they never seal right when the dryer's not running because the flapper is just a thin piece of plastic. This kind of vent here, which I put it in the colder winter, so it's kind of messy looking, right? It needs to be cleaned up. Has a ball on the top. We've got a 90-degree elbow with a ball sitting on top, and the blowing air from the dryer pushes the ball up and lets it vent. And when it shuts off, it drops down and seals much better. We don't get cold air coming back in. And like I say, I put this in, I think, in December or January. It was cold as death out here, and no cold air spilled back in, whereas the other vent around the side of the building was just a horror show in terms of the cold air leaking in. So we just foamed it shut for now because we didn't want to make a hole in the side of the building and then have to try to fill it up. We're going to be working over there later on. And we poked this one in. A lot of caulk here, but it's secure. It does a great job, and this is also easy to get into, clean, relatively easy, although I'm having a hard time because we're trying to tape a TV show while I'm opening it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just obsessing too much of it. Anyway, you can get into it easily, relatively easily. You need a screwdriver just to pry it back a little to get in, to clean it out if there is any lint. We want to be able to, the thing about dryer vents is we do need to get into them. We do need to remove the lint because we don't want to have fires, and there's a lot of dryer fires because lint is not cleaned out. It isn't just a filter in the unit, it's lint in the whole vent system that goes from the dryer to right out here. Has to be free of lint. Even up here there's a little bit of lint. We want to have that all out of there. Anyway, I think we should go back inside where it's warm. And staying with the theme of windows, we got two windows in the kitchen we have to attend to also. This is the joy of an old house. One is this old Anderson window here that wasn't put in right, and it's leaky as all get out. The cranks don't work right anymore. So I've used a rope caulk to try to seal it for the winter. It feels like it's leaking air still, and I hear a lot of outside noise coming through, which is an indication that the window is leaky, because if sound moves through air. So if you have a leak and you're hearing outside sounds right by your window, it's a good sign that you've got a leak here, an air leak, and we do. So we know this window is going to go away, and this has the same kind of trim problem we've had with the other windows. The other window we have over here, remember? Way back when, last autumn, there was, do we need lights? We don't need lights, we've got under control. There was a window here, I covered it up with foam and sheetrock because that was leaky and drafty. So here's another window we need to attend to. Has the same kind of, all the double hung windows in particular have the same kind of trim problem where water can leak in by them. So this is another one that we're going to have to attend to. We're going to open it up and just use it because it's getting to springtime, and after today, hopefully it'll be warm out again so we can actually have some ventilation in here. But we will redo this window as well, and there's not a lot of windows in the house to redo, so this is not a gigantic project, especially if you do them yourself. If you're shopping for windows, for vinyl replacement windows, you know, we're looking maybe 125 to 175, maybe 200 if it's a really big window. A house like this, we've got 8 windows. We don't have to do them all at once, so we can really measure out our investment. And if we can do this, say, over from, say, springtime now through the end of autumn and do a window or two a month, we're able to moderate the amount of money that has to go out and get it back, get a lot of it back come autumn and wintertime when we have to, because we'll have a lot tighter window and we'll have to spend less money on oil. That's good stuff. Anyway, we got to take a quick break here. When we come back, we got to look at the floor because I did something to it. I guess I got to show you. Stay with us. Hey, we're back, and we're in the kitchen. And you remember back a month and a half, 2 months ago, I put down the slate tile in the kitchen floor. I did something to it in the past couple days here. I've grouted the slate tile, and we used a dark grout. This is called pewter. And I don't know if you remember, but when we did these tiles are not uniform in thickness. They're all over the place. So we had to kind of bridge the gaps with the grout to try to render it somewhat smooth so we don't have a lip that's sticking up. The grout in this case is buying us a lot of forgiveness and some safety factor as well. And it came out pretty good. I'm very happy with the results. We have washed the floor several times now, and we still have to go over it a few more times because we still have some residual grout here on the surface. But I just want to show you, if we wet the surface a little bit and spread that around, how the color just pops right out at you. And really that's the beauty of slate and natural stone is between the variation we have here and the natural color. The other issue we have with natural stone is its porosity. Look at it, all that water I put down has just gotten sucked up by the stone here in a matter of seconds. So we're going to have to seal this with something, and in the process of sealing it, it will help to accentuate the colors and pop them out a little bit and waterproof it, because it smells like wet stone when there's water on it. And all the footprints from us walking in from being outside playing in the snow there a few moments ago show up, and the dirt sticks to it because it's a porous stone, so we really do need to seal it with something. It just makes for a better looking floor that'll be easier to keep clean because stuff won't stick to it as much, and we're kind of happy with it. The only thing I regret in doing this particular stone is I wish there were some fossils in it. You know, sedimentary rock slate, and sometimes you find fossils. We didn't find any fossils, but it has stood up well. It has, it looks the way we hoped it would look. The other thing that we have as an issue is there's a transition point over by the basement door where the tile stops, and I use thin set to bond this to the to the hardy backer that's underneath it. And over by the basement door, my coming and going the next day, we broke the bond on the thin set. So we're going to use a urethane adhesive or construction adhesive to stick that particular tile down. And I think we still have to do over by the entryway. And when we do that, I may just use urethane adhesive for that whole area. Urethane adhesives, you can use a urethane adhesive similar to what we're using upstairs on these kind of tile, but it costs more money. That's why we use thin set. It's relatively inexpensive. It's a cement, and it doesn't cost much to use. And in this situation, you know, nice and solid. And here's a clue: if you have a tile that's loose, you can tell the difference. I guess we're going to have to go over here just to show you the difference here between the loose tile and the tile that's not loose. And that's over here. You can see because it's not grouted. You know, here's the difference. It rattles around a little bit. So that's the one that's the culprit right there, the loose tile. And I discovered it when I was grouting, so we stopped at that point and decided we did not want to go any further trying to stick that down, because what will happen is if you try to grout a loose tile like that, it'll lock it, the grout will help hold it in place, but over time, if there's any ability for it to rock at all on the substrate, it's going to at very least break the grout, if not the tile. We don't want to do that. And that's the other thing that thin set does really nice, is when you have tile like this that is very variable. It's all over the place in terms of thickness. It's not always perfectly flat. The thin set fills all those voids and cements it down. To do that with an adhesive, you got to use a lot of adhesive to fill it, and you have to hope that it stays bonded well. So that's the reason we use thin set. In terms of where we are in the kitchen now, there's not that much more to do. We're going to poke the hole in the wall so we at least have the window exposed. We can't do the trim around these windows until we replace them. We do have a toe space here, though, that I can now go ahead and cover up. If you look down here, we've got the individual boxes for each of the cabinets, and we do have a piece that covers this. So I've got to scribe this to the floor, and that's going to be fun because the floor is all over the place. And we're going to put the toe space in, and for here, and there's a piece of toe space cover material for over there, and that'll be done. We've got some baseboard to put down in here. We can put the baseboard down now because the floor is down and it's grouted, or most of it is. And I've just been waiting for some warm weather for over by the door. Let's go take a look at that. And here we are at the other end of the floor. And I stopped here because for some reason in some rehab way back when, this floor is lower than the original floor was here. And they have a little piece of beveled wood so you can get up to the floor. I decided that we're going to take the door out, which is down at this lower level, and we're going to elevate it up to this level. We can do that. We've got the room here to accomplish that. And the door needs to be rehung anyway because it's not sealing very well. So when it's warm out, we'll take the door out. We'll build this up with probably plywood. It's got to come up about an inch. Put hardy backer on it again and just do this little entryway. And then we'll be done with everything. And we do need to be extremely cautious. I have a feeling that I could find some rot underneath this door here because it was put in at a time when we didn't have things like ice and water shield, which will allow us to shed water away from the building. And being a wet site and being there's a lot of water that runs down the driveway right to this point, I have a feeling there's going to be some rot here. So that'll be exciting. There's nothing like rot in an old house, is there? But that'll be pretty simple to deal with. We'll get the door out on a nice day, and we'll get to retrim the door after we're done and try to make things look a little bit snazzier around it. And one of those things, I don't want to make a big hole in the building when it's cold out. And assumedly, at some point in the not too distant future, it will be warm out. Although we are in springtime and it snowed 12 inches the other day and it's cold today, and I'm questioning why it's the way it is and why I'm working outside, but we're going to work inside till we get a little bit further along, get this done, and we got to go because we are out of time. Next week we'll have more to look at, and we'll see you then. Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems.